All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, for the Seattle Mariners, their faith in catcher Cal Raleigh is paying off. Just before the start of the season, the Mariners gave their all star catcher, who's an all star for the first time this year, a 6 year extension for $105 million. And since then, he's been balling out. We're almost at the All Star break. This is the final week of the first half of the season. And coming into play today, it was Cal Raleigh who is leading all of baseball in home runs with 35, while his 74 runs batted in are tied with Aaron Judge for the most in the American League. Raleigh is putting together a career year, and the Mariners need it as they are looking to get to the postseason for the second time in the last 4 years. Raleigh right now is on pace to become just the second player in Mariners franchise history to hit 50 home runs in a season, as Ken Griffey Jr. did it twice. And if Raleigh were to reach the 50 home run mark, he'd also become the first catcher in MLB history to do so, which is difficult enough once you factor in that he has a squat behind that plate for 9 innings and still come up and give 3 or 4 quality at bats per game. You look at Raleigh's productivity so far this season. Big months in both May and June. He had 12 home runs. In May, he had 11 more. In June, not to mention that he had 9 home runs in the month of April. And I talked about Raleigh's production this season, and they need it. Seattle truly needs it because, in my opinion, it's helping the M's cushion the fact that Julio Rodriguez has been underachieving. Ever since J Rod, as they call him, got that extension of his own, he hasn't been producing in the way that a lot of people expected him to produce. And I think what we're seeing from a guy like Cal Raleigh at the plate, like right now this season, it's helping to offset that. So you look at the season that Cal Raleigh is having, and you ask yourself, well, if he does get the 50 home runs or more, is this type of season going to be enough to take over Aaron Judge to become the AL MVP? And I'm going to say no as of right now because, yes, Cal Raleigh is putting together a phenomenal season at the plate. But Aaron Judge is still close to 100 points higher than him in batting average. I know that right field and catching are two different positions, and that's not a slight to Cal Raleigh, but nonetheless, I think all of those things are going to factor in. And I think as of right now, that's why I do believe that Cal Raleigh would fall short to Aaron Judge if the MVP vote were to be cast right now. Not to say that Cal Raleigh would not get his fair share of ballots in his favor. Also, I think the bigger picture, if you're Cal Raleigh, you want to go out there and try to help Seattle get to the postseason. You look at the Mariners; they got there in 2022, lost in the ALDS. They won 90 games the year before that in 2021. They have been so close so many times. They won 88 games in 2023. They were right there again last year with 85 wins on the cusp of getting to the postseason, and they just fell short. So maybe Cal Raleigh is the guy that can put this lineup on his back in order to help them get to October. You look at the Mariners right now, and I said coming into this year that the American League West was going to be up for grabs. And right now, as of right now at least, it's the Houston Astros who have taken the bull by the horns. And of course, every time, like I said last night, every time that you want to write the Astros off, they come back and they find another way to go out there and get it done. And you look at the M's coming into play today, they're a full 7 games behind Houston for first place in the AL West. They can make it up. There's a possibility over the second half of the season. But nonetheless, I mean, you look at the way that Houston is playing, Seattle's got to go out there and take care of their business. And then you look at the way that the Mariners have to finish the first half of this season. 3 games in the Bronx against the New York Yankees, and then 3 more on the road against the Detroit Tigers. So we're talking about two of the better teams in baseball, two teams right now that if the season ended, they would each be postseason bound. And these are the teams, if you're Seattle and you're Cal Raleigh, these are the teams that you're going to have to go out there and beat in order to get to the postseason and do some damage there. But nonetheless, getting back to the man of the hour, you look at Cal Raleigh, you cannot underscore enough, how difficult it is for a catcher to come from behind the plate and do what he is doing with a bat in his hand 3 or 4 times a night and have the productivity that he is having so far this season. I think definitely he gets to 50. He's already has a career high in home runs. Uh, uh, he hit 34 last year. Okay, so and honestly, in all 4 of his big league seasons, his home run productivity has increased. It's right now, it's his batting average and his on base percentage that have really gone up. And of course, he's going to get a career high in runs batted in. Drove in 100 runs last year. He's going to clearly get more of that. And I think at this point, I think he does get 50. I think he does make history. And I think, like I said before, the bigger thing, it's not just the individual stats for Cal Raleigh. Can he find a way to help get Seattle to the postseason? That's going to be the biggest thing, as this team has consistently been underachieving for the last couple of years. But nonetheless, you got to salute a guy like Cal Raleigh with what he is doing so far this season. Let's see if he can keep it up, and let's see if he can help Seattle get to bigger and better things as this MLB season progresses. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, if you like what you heard and saw in this podcast, you know what to do. Please feel free to hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. Like I always say, it is greatly appreciated. Also, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. Like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. And the same could be said for Instagram, where you can check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge. Also, if you're on Facebook, you can check us out at the Sports Depot 365. And as far as I'm concerned, one of the better sports groups going on social media. But until the next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off, and I'm saying thanks once again for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.